Hello everyone. Today I've got 3 more amazing horror books. But the thing about these books is that they don't care about your sleep cycle at all. Because once you start reading these 3, you do not want to go to sleep. You just want to keep reading them and reading them, page after page, long after you should be done and trying to get some shut-eye. But that's always a mark of a great author. And all 3 of these books will be ones that you do not want to put down. I absolutely love them. And as a reminder, I have horror books for sale. And if you want to read any of the books you see on your screen, they're only $1 each at the link in the description. And don't forget to check out my Patreon page. Every month I'll upload new stuff, new stories, books, everything, just for my Patreons. And there's other benefits coming, so check out the page. See what you can get if you're interested. And don't forget to pick up your Read More Horror t-shirt. There are many colors and sizes available, and there's a link down below for that as well. Alright, let's get started. So the first book I want to talk about today is not a new release. It came out in the last few years. But man, it's called One Last Gasp. This one blew me away with how good it is. It's a World War II horror novel that realistically portrays the horrors not only of war and what it actually is, but also includes this completely unique, terrifying, unstoppable thing that also happens to be stalking some of these soldiers. This one is set during World War II we're with some troops in Germany. They're fighting those damn Nazis, you know, and their battalion gets overrun by a rogue SS group of soldiers. They are rogue. They are not actually part of the official Nazi army. They're doing their own thing, and they are horrible. They take some prisoners once they overrun our group's battalion, but others they line up and just kill them with a flamethrower in a very horrific moment in that book. It's just it made me cringe to read that. It's horrifying, you know. But they are ordered to take control of this former research facility. Now it's supposed to be an empty building further back in the woods from when they were attacked. So they're kind of retreating, trying to regroup because they lost a lot of soldiers, and they have to kind of guard this facility. But they're going to find out that in that facility is something, oh my God, a creature that defies explanation. You can't really see it. And when you do, it changes so often in less than a blink of an eye that it confuses people and it causes them a great terror. And this thing will just rip through bodies. And there will be body parts flying everywhere. People will be eviscerated. All kinds of nasty things are going to happen to some of these guys. The thing I really like about this book is that all the soldiers in here, they are not super soldiers. They are not meant to be, this book does not glorify the horrors that happen during war. All of these soldiers are younger, they are cold, they are tired, they are hungry. Some of them are shell-shocked. Just all those emotional triggers you could think of for somebody who's experienced that kind of thing, and they're portrayed realistically. But we also get to know them so well that it's hard to put down because we know not everybody's going to make it, but we want them to, of course. Because those soldiers are over there fighting the bad guys, so now they have to deal with this rogue Nazi group, which seems to have an endless supply of ammo and Panzer tanks and things like that. But now they're inside this house and they're trapped with this thing that this rogue battalion's leader kind of worships. Like he's just an evil guy. His name's Craig, Kreg, and wait until he's a horrific villain in this book. I love that character to the point where I hated him because he was written so well that I couldn't help but hate him, if that makes sense. But yeah, you got to see what goes on here. It is horrifying. But it's absolutely engaging. Like I said, you won't want to put it down. I absolutely loved this book, and I highly recommend it to you. And there's a link down below where you can pick up your copy through Amazon. And next we have the graphist. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I know it looks like psychographist, but it's not. It's pronounced a different way. I just can't pronounce it because I'm an idiot. But anyway, this book is a deep, horrifying dive into consumerism, into product testing, focus groups, and things like that. And this one gets really, really dark. Like, I did not expect it to get as dark and disturbing as it did. It's about a family, and we'll meet those throughout the book. I'm not going to say too much about them, but a family decides to test a product in their home for 30 days under certain conditions. They're offered a lot of money for this, life-changing money for them, and so they decide to do it. The conditions are they can't leave, they can't have anybody come over, they can't have any contact with the outside world for that 30 days unless they're told to. And every week during that month, they're going to have certain tasks they're going to be asked to perform in relation to this product, this thing they're going to have in their home. And they must fulfill those tasks to complete the assignment and get paid at the end. But during that month, man, things are going to get just disturbing and brutal, and this product seems to be affecting them, this electronic thing they have in their home. And even though it's not really sentient, it changes the way they think and the way they act, and the assignments that they get to do, or that they have to do, just keep getting more and more dark. And there are some really twisted things that are going to go on during the course of the month in this family's household, based on this machine that they are simply supposed to be product testing. This one is great. Like, I did not want to put it down. This is one of those I read from front to back in one day, just because it was that good, that engaging. It kept my interest, and as the darker things got, I kept thinking, oh, they can't get any worse than that. But you know, I'm usually wrong about that. I'm not going to give anything away though. But this is one I can highly recommend. I think it's one of those you have to read. It's a little bit twisted, a little bit brutal, but it does a great job of exploring our consumerism and our need to have the latest project or the latest gadget and technology, no matter what, even though it might not be good for us. And I absolutely enjoyed this one. I highly recommend it to you, of course, and as always, there's a link in the description. And last but certainly not least, we have the Devil and Mrs DAV. This one I wasn't sure about. I didn't know if I'd like it because it's set in 1955. It's about a woman with psychic powers, and it just didn't sound up my alley. But man, I was wrong. That's why I always encourage people, give something you don't think you might like, give it a try. You never know. Because I absolutely wound up loving this book. This novel, like I said, is set in 1955, and the horrific thing about this book isn't the ghosts that this woman sees, even though there are those. She's also involved in finding some missing dead girls because of her ability, her psychic ESP kind of abilities. And that's horrible enough. But the true monster in this book, the true horror as far as I'm concerned, was how women were treated back then. And we all know about it. Like, they can't open up a bank account without their husband's signature. They can't take out a loan. Back at that time, the husband ruled the roost. He was the head of the household. the woman took care of the house while he went to work, and she wasn't allowed to ask questions of him or to question anything he did, no matter how unseemly it might be. She was there to support him, and that was her only job. And her husband, the protagonist's husband in this book, is a very religious guy. He's a professor at a Bible college. And so when he finds out that she has these gifts that she wasn't even aware of, he attributes it to the devil and witchcraft. And he begins to, throughout this book, he gets ever increasingly more controlling, manipulative, condescending, abusive toward her, just because of things she's doing, people she's hanging out with. You're gonna have to read it to find out, but he is not happy about any of it because he did not give her permission. And in that setting, having these gifts and trying to explore them is way more horrific than it would be today, let's put it that way. Because she has to go against her husband at every turn. She's worried that if she gets caught, if somebody sees her and says something to her husband just because she wanted to leave and walk to the store, which he forbids her to do at one point, then she would suffer the consequences, her and her 2 kids. And her 2 kids are the focus point of her life. She lives and breathes for those kids, and she's afraid of what he might do to them should she disobey him, because he has all the power, she has none. And that's a really horrific thing about this book, but it's told in such a wonderful fashion. Like I said, I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I did, and I wound up just reading right through it. I couldn't do it in a day. It is kind of a longer book. But as soon as I got up the next day, I got my coffee and I sat back down and finished it, because I had to see how this was all going to turn out. Because she gets put in some very horrific circumstances. Not only trying to find these dead girls, but also with her husband. And there's some other characters involved that you're really going to love. And this book also offers some hope at the end. You get a good taste of the feels because you come to know this character and you want to see her succeed in what she does. Yeah, it's just a very emotional ride, but it's also very frightening. And it's one I highly, highly recommend. And again, you can find the link to get your copy in the description. And I recommend it. And as always, I want to say thank you for taking some of your time, spending it here with me. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.